All right, so this video is about organisms that are on kingdom fungi. Helping me out today, a very fun guy, my friend Sean.
That's true.
Yep. So
Thanks, Paul.
no problem. Anyway, so this is a review for some of these are review for my students, but to be classified in kingdom fungi, there are a few characteristics needed. One, be eukaryotic. Do you happen to remember what that word means? It's okay if you don't.
I don't remember.
It means they have cells have a nucleus.
Oh, okay.
Okay. They're heterotrophs, which means they get their nutrition from other organisms and they can't make it themselves. They absorb their nutrients, and the way this happens is fungi are able to excrete enzymes outside their bodies, and it'll break down whatever they're growing on, and then they'll be able to soak up the nutrients from that. So if you see them like rotting away at a log or something like that, you'll notice there's like kind of some sliminess to it if you're really, I don't know why you would touch it, but that's because these enzymes are being excreted, they're breaking down that log, and then the fungus are actually soaking up the nutrients from that. Okay. They have cell walls that have what's called chitin in them. Yeah. Most don't move. There's a little exception to that. Most are multicellular, but once again, small exception to that. So, fungus has a few components. First, it is made of something called hyphae. Say that with me, hyphae.
Hyphae.
Yeah, very
Say
nice.
Right? Good.
Very good. Hyphae are little thread-like strands. They're made up of cells are sort of long-ish in fungi. They're not like these little boxes. They're kind of elongated a little bit, and that's what hyphae are made out of. And when you put a lot of hyphae together below the ground, if you will, you get what's called the mycelium, and that's actually the main body of the fungus. So when you think of a fungus, what do you think of?
Mushroom.
Mushroom. You think of that actual structure, right?
Yeah.
So what people don't realize is that's actually the reproductive structure of the fungus. Fungus normally is the actual body is that mycelium part that's wrapped around whatever it's trying to break down. Now that part that we call the mushroom, that's what it's called, the fruiting body, and the fruiting body is the reproductive part.
Okay.
So several fruiting bodies also can come from one mycelium. So have you ever walked through the woods and you noticed like a bunch of mushrooms all together?
Yeah.
So what you might not realize is those are all coming from the same organism. Those, if you take DNA from each of those cells, it'd be identical because they're coming from the same organism that's below the ground.
And it's the underlying root that
Yeah.
is the actual organism?
Yeah, I mean, you could think of them kind of like roots. That's what
Yeah.
that helps people remember, is they're sort of like the roots of the fungus. And unlike in plants where roots are just part of the plant, the roots or the mycelium of the fungus is really like the main body of the fungus. And fungus get huge. I mean, technically the largest organisms on the planet are fungi. There's like even fungi out there that the mycelium stretches over a few miles. And like every little mushroom poking out above the ground is actually coming from that same.
Part of the same one?
Yeah.
So you might not even see the fungi.
Right.
It could be underground.
Yeah. Sometimes you don't even really see that fruiting body coming out except for small times of the year. Yeah, a lot of the time you'd even say you don't even see the fungus.
Right.
Yeah. So, have you ever seen a picture of one of these, a fairy ring? They're in like fantasy novels and stuff like that.
Really?
But they used to think that these were like magical because of the way that the mushrooms grew around like this, but now we know that's just a way that they all grow because they're coming from the same mycelium. And it's likely that whatever's in the middle there is probably the main source of nutrients from that fungus. And this is a cool picture. This shows how, like, if you have a moldy orange or something, this is how it looks. You see the mycelium stretching and the hyphae stretching down into the orange. So even though in an orange, you might think, hey, I could peel off that orange peel. It'll get rid of the mold. You shouldn't, because there's mold growing below there. The stuff you see at the top is more of those reproductive structures. So fungus can produce asexually and sexually. In sexual reproduction, they use meiosis. Asexually, use mitosis. Now fungus use what's called a spore, and a spore is just, I mean, I've used this term in a few videos. It's just a small reproductive unit. Typically has thick cell walls, and it allows whatever the organism is to survive over long periods of time until conditions are right for that spore to grow later. So now we're going to talk about the different groups of fungus.
Okay.
So do you remember your kingdom phylum class order? That thing? It's been too long, huh?
Like King Philip ate some spaghetti or something?
King Philip came over for good spaghetti. Yeah.
That's it. Okay.
Yeah. So you kind of remember. That's
yeah,
good.
It's been a while.
But so these are different phyla, so it's still pretty large groups here. The first phylum is called Chytridomycota, also known as chytrids, and they are aquatic. They have flagella. They're I think mostly unicellular. Yeah, kind of an interesting group.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Now these are phylum Zygomycota, and this is what we think of as mold. And they have a really hard capsule that comes out on top, and that's what spreads spores. And yeah, the little spores can actually remain dormant for a long, long period of time. That's why, like, there's mold flying around the air all the time, coming from these things, and that those little capsules can last for, or the spores can last for a really long time and grow.
And so they settle, and then later in time they'll, I guess, sprout and continue to grow.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yep. Then Ascomycota is known as the sac fungi or fungi. Do you happen to know what these fungus are at the bottom? They're actually quite expensive fungi.
No.
On the left, you have what's called a truffle.
Truffle.
That's what a truffle looks like. Yes, if you're high class, you eat the truffle. We're not high class though. So, and then in the middle on the bottom there are called morels, and I guess in Illinois you can go like morel hunting.
Really?
Yeah.
What do you use them for?
They're also used for cooking. They're relatively expensive.
Well, I don't cook, so.
Yeah. Well, in most people, the ones that we eat fall into phylum Basidiomycota, also known as the club fungi. So there's a delicious baconator, I think. Or maybe it's the Southwest burger or something. And we call the structure a basidium. That's where it gets its name from. So what we call the mushrooms, those are actually a basidium.
Okay.
Now, in the environment, fungus are really important because they're actually decomposers. So they break stuff down in the ecosystem. It allows the nutrients to get recycled. So like this stump right here that those are all growing on, I mean, it's not really contributing much to the ecosystem anymore. It's a tree that's dead.
Right.
But those fungus grow on that stump. They break it down. The fungus then it doesn't use all those nutrients. I mean, or it uses those nutrients, but excretes it as waste, or like when that fungus dies, it's much easier for those nutrients to return to the ecosystem. So that's why they're incredibly important.
Yeah.
Now, do you like eating any plants?
I guess. I mean, there's salad.
Yeah.
I don't necessarily like it. There's broccoli. That's good sometimes.
Yeah. Well, the reason I bring this up, or like, do you eat anything with corn in it?
Yeah, sometimes.
So we're really dependent on fungus actually to grow all the plants that we eat, because on plants, on the roots, they have fungus growing on them. We call this relationship mycorrhiza. And you can see on the picture on the bottom there in the middle looks like you see all the kind of bluish stuff. That's all fungus is growing on the outside of that root and the root hairs. What it does is the plants actually provide some sugars to the fungus to allow them to grow. And the fungus is able to actually take nitrogen and phosphorus from the soil and pass that on to the plant. And that helps the plant grow more effectively. There's actually farmers that buy mycorrhiza for their like crops and stuff like that. That's why I brought up if you like corn and stuff, because like corn farmers will actually buy this to put it in their soil, buy fungus to put in their soil. Low on battery. That's okay. Anyway, now have you heard of a lichen before? Not in Underworld.
Oh, I was gonna say, that was it.
A lichen is
Werewolf.
it's when algae and fungus live together. Now the algae provides, just like in the previous example, algae can provide carbohydrates to the fungus. The fungus can actually take up water and provide it to the algae, so you can do photosynthesis. Some different products that we use that involve fungus. So most antibiotics are actually made from fungus.
Really?
Different molds. Yeah, penicillin is made from penicilli mold. That's where it got its name. Yeast is used in bread. Used in alcoholic fermentation as well. So lots of industries are dependent on fungus. And then actually we use mold to make citric acid for adding to like soft drinks. Wow. So when you drink your Sprite, you're using.
So really, they're everywhere.
Yeah.
Basically.
Yep. So here's some different diseases you can get. Oh,
that's gross.
You get ringworm. That's a fungus. Yes. All the doctors kind of coming over here. You want to interject?
No, I'm just looking at your PowerPoint. It's really nice.
So ringworm, athlete's foot are both fungi, and maybe not so much affecting humans, but corn rust is actually a fungal disease that can be incredibly impactful to the corn growing industry or corn farming. And Dutch elm disease is another one that it's caused by fungus infecting Dutch elms.
So the fungus can help the corn and other plants grow, but can also like kill it and hurt it.
So they'd be different species. Yeah, so this is
Different
more like
species of fungus.
yeah, so this is like a parasitic fungus. That would be a totally different species than the one that helps the corn.
Okay.
So yeah, kind of interesting that
Yeah.
even in that same group you have helpful and harmful ones.
Yeah.
So that is actually it.
That's all.
Yeah.
All right.
Thank you very much for your help, Sean.
Hey, thanks for the info.
See you later.